In this session, we are going to see about password hashing. Whenever we are storing data inside the database, our password should be encrypted. Okay, whatever personal data we are having, that entire data should be encrypted. There are multiple ways of encrypting the password, but in this session, we are going to see password hashing. Now, suppose I am having two fields. Okay, this is the username field, and below this I am having this password field. Okay, both the fields I am having, and below this I am having one button. Now for this, if user enters the username, this data will be stored inside the database. Okay, this is my database, and inside this username will be stored. Okay, whatever user enters, this username will be stored. If you want to encrypt this username, then also you can do that one. It completely depends on you which all data you want to encrypt. Now this username will be stored whatever, okay, in the text format itself this username will be stored. Now here I am just going to enter the password. This password will also be stored in the text format. Okay, but we should never store password in text format. It is the wrong way of doing this. So what we are going to do, instead of storing the password in text format, we are going to do password hashing. Now let's understand how this password hashing works. Okay, now let us take an example of this password field. Okay, just imagine here I am having one password field, and here I am having the database. Now I am just going to enter some data here. Inside this I have just entered the password, and once I click on this submit button, okay, this is my submit button. Let me just create this. Okay, now here I am having one submit button. Now here I have just entered some password. Okay, this is the password. Now once I click on this submit button, this entire password I am just going to do hash. Okay, hash of this password. Now once the password is hashed, I will be getting some random numbers with random data, with random characters, with random numbers. This entire thing will be stored inside this database. Okay, this random whatever it is generated, that will be stored inside this database. Not this password, this hash of the password will be stored inside this database. You have to remember that whenever we are doing password hashing, this is completely one way. Okay, it is going to work in one way. Now here I have done password hashing, and this hash will be stored here. Now again, if I just try to copy this one, okay, I am just copying this entire hash, whatever is stored inside the database. Now I am logging in using this hash. Okay, whatever data I am having here, using this I have just logged in here. Now when I click on this button, I will be getting invalid credentials, because this hash is only one way. We can just hash this particular password. Again, if I just try to enter this one, okay, this entire data I have entered here, again this will be hashed. And for this password, the hash will be different. So it is not going to match with this hash, and we are going to get invalid credentials. So you should always remember this. This hashing is only one way. For this password, we are going to have this particular hash. Again, for this, if I just enter this as a password, for this password, we will be having separate hash. Okay, so it is one way. We cannot use this in both ways. Okay, this is basically password hashing. Now let's see the documentation of this, and later on we are just going to apply this password hashing in our website. Now here I am just going to write password hash documentation. I'll search for this. As soon as you search for this, you will be getting official website of PHP. Here you will be having all the notes, all the things whatever is required to learn PHP. You can just open this manual, and from here you will be having entire thing. In this documentation, you will be having complete details of password hashing. Okay, now let me just come down. Okay, here they have given one example. Let me just show that one. You can see here they have just given one example. They are just doing password hash, and whatever password they are having, they are just passing here. And second parameter, they are having here password bcrypt, and finally we are having this options. Now if you don't want to do that, then we are having plenty of other options. You can see we are having this one. Okay, there are many examples of using this one. Let me just scroll down. Okay, you can refer this website for better understanding. Here we are having bcrypt, then whatever options we are having, that options are displayed. Okay, you don't have to worry about this. Okay, there are plenty of algorithms to encrypt the password, to store the encrypted data inside the database. Now as a beginner, we are just going to use this password default in a second parameter. Now what it is, okay, you can use this, you can use this, you can use this. Based on your requirement, you can use this. Once you get to know about this particular things, then you can use this in your project as well. Okay, you can see we can use this password, and it is suggested that we have to use 60 characters, beyond 60 characters, that is 255. While creating the table, we have already given 255 as the length. Okay, so it depends on you what you want to give, but it should be beyond 60 characters. But it is always suggested that we should always use 255 characters. Okay, this will be our second parameter. First, we are going to pass the password itself, and second, we are going to pass this password default. Why we are using this password default? Because each and every time the algorithm changes, the code changes, the logic changes. So to get adjusted by itself, we are going to use this password default. This is the entire documentation. You can refer this documentation for better understanding on password hashing. Now I'll come to user registration.php. Now inside this, we have already created the variable for user password and we have accessed the password. Now below this, I'm just going to write here hash password. Okay, this is the variable name. Whatever you want, you can give. Inside this, I'm just going to pass this password hash. Okay, this is the method. And inside this password hash, it is going to take two parameters. As we have seen, first parameter is our password itself. Then second, I'm just going to write here password default. Okay, now instead of storing this password inside the database, I'm just going to store this password. I'll copy this. And here in place of this user password, I'm just going to write here hash password. I'll remove one dollar symbol. I'll save this. Now you can see the data is stored in text format, this entire password data. Now I'll refresh this one. Now if you want, you can remove this one. Later on I'm going to remove all the fields and I'll be keeping only one user. Okay, let's check for the output. Now we are having Khanam Sanya. Let me just write here Seema at gmail.com. User image. Password 1234, confirm password 1234, address Mumbai and contact number, register. Let me just come here, I'll refresh this one. Now for Seema, you can see the password is been hashed and this kind of password will be stored inside the database. Okay, as we have seen, it is only one way. Now whenever I am logging in inside the system, I cannot use this password. Okay, this password will generate another hash. I cannot use this one. Whatever I have entered here, that password only I have to use to log in inside the website. Okay, this is how we are going to do password hashing. Now I'll come to operations. Now from here, I'm just going to remove all these things. Okay, I'm just going to empty the entire table. I don't need that one. I just need only one user because each and every user is having the same IP address. I don't want that to happen. When we host this website online, then we are going to work on multiple users. As of now, we are just going to create single user and using that IP address, we are going to perform all the actions. Now here I'm just going to register one user. Later on, once the user is registered, we are going to check for some more conditions.